Are we all set here? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the Abington Heights School Board meeting for Wednesday, February 19th. Would everyone please rise and pledge the flag? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mrs. O'Day, can we please have a roll call?
Mr. Abdullah.
Here.
Mr. Azar. Here. Mrs. Henderson.
Here.
Mrs. Hillebrand.
Here.
Mrs. Karam.
Here.
Mr. Moran.
Here.
Mr. Robeson.
Here.
Mrs. Tierney.
Here.
Mr. Acker.
Here.
All present.
Okay, can we please have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Abdullah.
Yes.
Mr. Azar.
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Hillebrand.
Yes.
Mrs. Karam.
Yes.
Mr. Moran.
Yes.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney.
Yes.
Mr. Acker.
Yes.
9-0.
Can we please have a motion to approve the minutes for the meetings of January 22nd and February 5th?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Azar.
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Hillebrand.
Yes.
Mrs. Karam.
Yes.
Mr. Moran.
Yes.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney.
Yes.
Mr. Abdullah.
Yes.
Mr. Acker.
Yes.
9-0.
Are there any board reports for this evening's meeting?
Yes. I have one.
Okay, you know, if I say anything, I'm going to get in trouble if I say anything. So go ahead, Mrs. Henderson, please.
Yeah, I'm efficient. All right, the curriculum committee just met prior to this meeting. We just ran through basically comprehensive goal number 1. We're looking at our math curriculum and development and implementation. We have our OGAP consultants that we hired that are doing professional development for math. They came in November. They'll be back again at the end of the year, and from there we'll determine if we need additional training moving forward. Comprehensive goal number 2, science curriculum writing. The curriculum was approved last year, and we have a new program at the middle school. Some of the teachers there requested a need for additional professional development with the new program that we have. So we had them come earlier in the school year back in October, and we're looking for additional days to do more training. Currently, Dr. Kaz and Dr. Schaefer are looking at when that can be done. Because the current teacher contract only has 1 day set aside for professional development, and that's done before the school year starts. So the administration is looking for different times where that training can be done. Comprehensive goal number 3, school climate. Dr. Kaz met with the PBIS leadership team on all levels today. The primary focus was looking at leadership opportunities for students to get involved and extend that onto the community level. One thing they talked about was how the PBIS being implemented, how is that being measured? And just looking at, are the current surveys that they have in place enough? One metric was that the middle school so far has 56% of the discipline referrals compared to last year, so those have gone down substantially since last year. They're also looking at other assessments, looking at possibly doing a survey through Renaissance Fundamentals that gives you a more comprehensive view. It's able to get students' input on a different level than just the standard 11 questions that we ask in our current surveys. Renaissance Educational Consulting, they're continuing to meet with the cohorts at the middle school level, and we're looking to extend that to the high school level possibly next year, and also looking at discussing the next steps. Updates, we hired a new crisis counselor. Now we have a crisis counselor dedicated to each level. The second grade, we finished up their gifted screeners where they were able to identify between 2 and 3% were identified to move on to the next level for different testing, as long as it's approved by parents and guardians. Then after there, they're just teachers and admin are looking at different ways that they can support students academically moving forward. We continue our Workshop for Caregivers meetings each month. There's one on Tuesday. We encourage all parents, guardians, and caregivers to attend. And just as a reminder, those topics came from the surveys that were completed last year. Social Studies Curriculum Rewrite. It is finished at the elementary level. There's 22 lessons that are tradebook-based to give students a global background, and currently deciding on how the lessons are going to be taught. The middle school curriculum writing is in progress. Dr. Kaz met with the middle school 5th and 6th grade teachers. They're looking at coming up with 80 lessons, and they're also going to be talking about how those will be implemented. The high school social studies curriculum has been completed. Speaking of high school, Dr. Tioni and her administrative team did a great job updating the curriculum guide for next year. We went over some of the changes, and the curriculum guide that we were going to approve, as well as the changes, can be found on Board Docs and then eventually on our website. We also briefly talked about calendar changes for the next school year. We're not approving it yet, but one of the ideas was, instead of doing the 2-hour delays where teachers are focusing on data, we're looking to move those to full days for next year at the end of a data cycle, so they can analyze data and add in some professional development when needed. We also spoke about the possibility of adding instructional coaches for next school year. With Dr. Koss and Dr. Schaefer said, in speaking with different administrators and grade level leavers, looking at test scores, they are thinking that having instructional coaches would be extremely beneficial for educators and students. Basically, they would serve as a mentor, support teachers, is that my timer? Support teachers on a daily basis to help with high quality instruction and implement professional development, teaching and demo lessons, and providing feedback. So basically, their job would be a daily provide job-embedded professional development. And with that, there would be an online training course for them. And we'd have one on the K to 6 level, one for 7 to 12. And I think that's it. That's most of what we covered. Questions?
Great, very thorough, thank you very much.
I
Dr.
was
Schaefer?
trying to be quick.
Okay. Dr. Schaefer, you're on.
I do not have any reports today.
Oh, my God. Does that mean we're going to get hit double
Yeah,
next month?
We have a
it'll
special
be-
meeting next Thursday,
Should,
February
Mis-
27th.
Mr.
6:30
Abell should
here.
bring his sleeping bag and pillow.
That's right.
He probably wants to do
Oh,
that
yeah,
now
we-
already.
Well, we do have our student representatives here today.
Yes.
Hi, good evening. So my report this evening is fairly short, but without further ado, here it is. So parent-teacher conferences were held this Monday, February 18th. Mock trial advances to a record of 2-0 for this season so far. Scranton Area Foundation was on site to help senior students access and complete scholarships. College visits are currently still taking place during 9th Mod. Today, February 19th, East Stroudsburg came and met with students. Students who are interested in attending these college meetings are advised to check their guidance Google Classroom, and all information such as dates and e-hall pass info can be found there. Musical rehearsals for The Sound of Music is well underway, and shows are officially scheduled for the 11th, 12th, and 13th of April. For our parent information, if parents are unable to attend conferences, they are encouraged to email teachers to set up a meeting via phone call or via video conference. And lastly, our parent workshop continues to next Tuesday, February 25th. That is all for my reports this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Bucvetti?
Oh, good evening. So, as usual, I'm doing the athletics report, and our winter sports teams are heading into the district playoffs, beginning with the girls basketball tonight at North Pocono High School. The tip-off was scheduled for 6 p.m., and this goes for all of the district playoff games. To purchase tickets, there will be no cash sales at the door for any of the events per the PIAA restrictions, and you can find tickets online at piaad2.org/ticket booth. Senior citizens and children under 5 are free, but however, our gym capacity at our home basketball game on Friday will be limited to the first 800 spectators in attendance. And last year, it filled up pretty quick. So if you're planning on going, I would plan on getting there early. And now for the playoff schedule. Wednesday, February 19th, the girls basketball versus North Pocono, 6 p.m. at North Pocono High School. This Friday, February 21st, the boys basketball versus Crestwood, which is 7 p.m. at our high school. Also this Friday and Saturday, the 21st and 22nd, wrestling for their individual districts will be held at Wilkes-Barre Area High School at 4:30 p.m. on Friday and starting Saturday at 10 a.m. Saturday, February 22nd, the diving districts will be at Wilkes-Barre CYC at 3 p.m. And Friday, February 28th and Saturday, March 1st, swimming districts at Wilkes-Barre Area High School. They start time on both of those days is 5 p.m. Through our partners with the Lehigh Valley Health Network, our spring sports physical will take place on Saturday, February 22nd, and our Abington Heights High School Nurses Suite. And spring sports officially begin on Monday, March 3rd. All spring sports information, including the online physical registration link, can be found on the athletics website. And now for the individual team updates. Our boys basketball, they finished their regular season with a 71-42 victory over West Scranton on Thursday, February 13th. They are the 2 seed in the PIAA District 2 5A playoffs and have earned a first-round bye. In Tuesday's game versus Valley View, senior Robbie Lucas joined the 1,000-point club at Abington Heights. He is the first of our boys players to reach that 1,000-point mark since George Tinsley in 2019. Lucas followed up that performance with a career-high 35 points versus West Scranton, hitting on 9 for 13 on three-pointers. Our girls basketball finished off their regular season in a strong fashion with a 73-26 win over West Scranton on February 12th. They are the 5th seed going into the district playoffs and will travel to number 4 seed North Pocono on Wednesday. It's today. For their first round of the district playoffs. Maggie Coleman joined the 1,000-point club at a home game versus Wallenpaupack on January 23rd. She is the first player to reach that milestone since Claire Marion in 2021. With our wrestling, the Comets went 1-2 in their district duels on January 29th and February 1st. They beat North Pocono in the first round, 52-21, moving to the semifinal round where they lost to Wallenpaupack. They returned to the mat on February 1st, where they suffered another loss to Pittston area, 39-25, eliminating them from the tournament. Friday, February 21st, starts their individual districts, where they will travel to Wilkes-Barre Area High School. The swim and dive, the boys have been dominant this season, only losing 1 meet to Delaware Valley, while the girls had a big win against Dunmore on Wednesday, February 12th, to put them close to the top of the standings going into the championships, beginning with diving this Saturday, February 22nd. We had, at the Lace Richards Invitational this past weekend, we had a bunch of medalists, a full page worth, so congrats to all of them. And the team will compete at the Wilkes-Barre CYC in the diving championship on February 22nd at 3 p.m. and at the Wilkes-Barre Area High School for the swimming championship on the 28th and March 1st, both at 5 p.m. Our unified bocce, Team 1 ended the season with 3 wins and 2 losses, and Team 2 ended with 4 wins and 2 losses. Team 2 advanced to the playoffs yesterday on Tuesday, February 18th at Lakeland High School and finished 5th overall. The team had many highlights on their season, especially at their annual Jam the Gym event on Tuesday, February 4th, where the Abington Heights community, including many other sports teams, coaches, faculty, and other spectators, helped fill the gym to give our unified student athletes the feeling of a packed house for their competition. It turned out to be a very successful day with both teams winning and the bleachers filled with fans to support our teams. And finally, indoor track. The team is preparing for their final event of the winter indoor season, where they will travel to Penn State University on Sunday, March 2nd, to compete in the PTFCA State Championships. Throughout the winter, the team has continued to set new season best times and PRs. Most recently, at the Garden State Invite at Ocean Breeze Park on Friday, February 14th, Anna Puchalowski set a new indoor personal record with a time of 5 minutes and 4 seconds, which also set the new AH indoor record for the mile previously held by Katie Dammer. And that should be it for the athletics report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. The next portion of the meeting is for public comment. If anyone wants to make a public comment, please fill out a form and give it to Mrs. O'Day. We ask that you limit your comments to more or less 3 minutes and to tell us who you are and where you're from. We have 2 cards at this moment. The first is Robin Domenico. Robin, nice to see you again.
I haven't been here in a very long time. Nice to see you all. A lot of new faces, some old faces. I have a couple quick questions. Federal funding. Abington Heights receives federal funding, and I'm just wondering where I would go to find how much we get and how the demise of the education department is going to affect us as taxpayers.
Good question.
So I could send you down a rabbit hole on our website, and if you're so inclined to do so, we have all of our budget documents there. But what I would tell you would be quite simply, every $10 of revenue that we receive, 70 of that is from local sources, approximately $29 is from state sources, and $1 and diminishing is from federal sources. And the only reason it's $1 at this point is because we're still going through the ESSER money that we received. That'll go off the books this year, so it'll probably, 0.7 of a dollar. However, with that said, on a $57 million budget, that's a lot. While I try not to get in the business of speculation, what I would tell you, because I get asked about federal funding quite frequently these days, we are forward funded, which means that right now we're spending FY '24 dollars. So I don't have any concerns that way. The FY '25 dollars are kind of going through the congressional process that's happening right now. But what I would say is the large amount of money that we receive are through some of the title funds, and that's approved by Congress, and it's not with, say, Abington Heights. It's with the state.
Mm-hmm.
So, at this point, I'm kind of operating on what we have, and just kind of think about ways to be creative. But I'm an optimist, so I'm not too concerned at this point.
Okay. Second thing is, I've lived here 28 years, and for the first time in 28 years, I received a mailer from Abington Heights. What's that all about? I'm wondering why we're spending money doing that. Do we have a lot of new people that live in the area? I mean, like you said, you can go on to any of the websites and stuff like that. I just thought it was a little over the top, personally. I don't know how much money was spent on that, but after 28 years, I don't need any more Abington Heights mail. So you can take me off the list. And another thing is the pool. What's going on with the pool? Is it open for public use? And if it is, where do you find the information? I know that the pool has been a bone of contention at the school district for a very long time. We can't figure out the air, we can't figure out this, we're doing that. But I just want to know, is it something that is ever going to be reopened? Because I see a lot of things on the Clark Summit Facebook page. Where can I get my kids, swim lessons and stuff like that? And there are a lot of people who like to use the pool for just exercise. So can anybody tell me what's going on with the pool?
So there's 2 questions. I'll answer the first one a second, but I think the pool's just fine. I didn't know that there was any issue with the pool. I can tell you that there are many organizations use our pool.
Does the public has access to the pool?
Yeah,
though?
the Republic, the
And-
different,
And what are the hour, like, where do we find out that information?
are you talking about like, say, like an
A
open swim?
An open swim, yeah.
I don't, we don't have that.
Why not? I mean, we used to have
I don't know, I
that.
asked you that question. I mean, I approve every request that come.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, in my 3 years, I've never had anything come to us about like an open swim or say water aerobics, something that I'm very familiar with that way coming. We have requests for swim lessons for the community. We approve those swim lessons. We have different organizations using it for swimming along with our students. So I'm not aware. I can check into that, but I've yet to receive anything across my desk about any type of community-based aquatics
There has
activity.
been in the past, one of my children did swimming at the, you know, at Abington. And at the end of the night, you know, as the team was coming out or whatever, the public was allowed in for like an hour or hour and a half. I'm just wondering if that's something that's going to be available again.
If someone's interested in it,
And-
I'm good with it.
We did have a program in the past where we had to hire an aquatics person to actually get lifeguards to be at the high school whenever there was an open swim. And that, unfortunately, the program fell under because we couldn't afford to pay lifeguards, and we didn't get students who wanted to be lifeguards, and we couldn't find that. So it was and it was used quite a bit. We had the public there because of the want and the need. And then, like I said, we lost the funding. We had very few people coming, and then the lifeguards stopped.
Okay, how about just the swim lessons for kids?
I don't know what's happened with that.
Yeah, we have, I won't name the organization, but yeah, we do have that.
You
We
won't
just-
name the organization? I mean, it's
Well,
that-
I'm not gonna promote it here. I mean, what I would say is that there are different organizations that would come and have, use our facility for swim lessons, and then they promote it on social media and things like that, and then they come in and they have the swim lessons. I think we just ended a cycle, but it's
And is that on our website somewhere, the Abington Heights website, or is that something that's just done with this organization privately?
correct, yep.
Okay.
So for instance, I can say like AYBL, right? So the Abington Youth Basketball League, they use our buildings in the winter throughout, and then they
Right.
promote it through all sorts of different
Right.
platforms in the community, and they use it just like the little Comet Wrestlers and the Comet Football.
I think
And
in the past, it was more the school district had that, the swim lessons available for, you know, for families and stuff like that.
yeah.
Okay, all right. I think that's it for
You
now.
want me to answer your communications question?
Sure.
Because I see it just a little differently than you,
Yeah.
I'm presuming. So we spent about, I think around $1.20 per resident, was sent out to 9,180. Approximately 65% of our households in Abington Heights are households that either do not have children currently in the district or had children previously. And we have surveyed before, and what we found is that, you know, our families and our community appreciates a multi-pronged approach. So for instance, we have Instagram and Facebook, and we reach about 100,000 different accounts a month that way. And people have told us, that they view that for like real-time information. So often, you know, events that are happening, whether it's mock trial or some of our athletic events, it's real time. They see it, they like the videos, and so on and so forth. Some of our principals that may have something in their buildings, and we do it that way. They've told us at the website, they prioritize the lowest, and they go there for like transactional or static information, like our calendar, or to take a look at a board meeting agenda, things like that. And then that 65%, while this is just kind of anecdotal information, as I've walked around and I'm in the community, I get a lot of people say, hey, thank you for sending that. You know what, I'm one of those people that like to hold a paper and read something, so I really appreciated seeing that. And that's a segment of our population that's very difficult, if I'm going to be very transparent with you, that's for us to reach out to, particularly now when we're talking about some rather large facility projects, right? With 65% of our people, it's important, even though you may not have children in the school, to let you know what's happening. And it's incumbent upon this board to reach out and make sure that everybody in the community understands. And that means that we have to look at communication in all sorts of different ways now. So, I don't see it as a waste of money. I see it as a cost-effective way to communicate with that 65% of the population that has been challenging to get in touch with.
Okay, well, I'm one of those people, and all 4 of my kids went through here, and if I want to find out information about the school district, I can go to the website, or I can come to a meeting. I don't need a publication to tell me. And the best thing you're doing is getting rid of that and renovating that middle school, which has been a bane of existence for like 40 years. So hopefully there's solar panels on it somewhere to keep it running. So
Robin,
anyway.
Robin, a couple follow-ups to what you asked about. You mentioned the pool quality. A number of years ago, we completed a project to replace the dryathon or the
Oh, yeah,
heat
no,
emulsifying
I'm fully
system.
aware of all that,
And
yeah.
then there have been some ongoing improvements. So as far as I think we know, relatively speaking, the pool's in decent condition.
I've just had some people come,
Sure.
ask me, hey, how come they don't do a public swim
Sure.
at the pool anymore?
Makes sense.
And I think there was kind of just the pool condition went south.
Yep.
A few years ago, maybe 10 years ago or more. And then kids didn't want to get lifeguard. I mean, are we proactive as a school district in doing lifeguard training for anybody who's interested, or is that still the why? I don't want to, this isn't, no. But any case, yeah. So I think it was just a combination of things that came, and then that just went away. Public swim times just went away.
Just to follow on from what Dr. Schaefer said, in terms of this facilities project, we've had a number of public meetings at various schools that
Yeah.
we've talked about doing work on. And at all 4 or 5 meetings, we've had the sum total of 5 people from the public there, of which 2 of them were relatives of mine.
Well,
And
I was
we're-
gone
we're-
out of the
we're really-
country for 4
please,
months, so
Robin,
I
please let me finish. Please.
I would have been there.
Yeah, but, okay. I'm sure you would have, because I know you're interested. But the point is, we're committing the community to some large projects, and it's really our responsibility to make sure we communicate that in the best fashion we can. Shame on us if we get down the road and somebody comes back to us and says, why didn't you tell me you were doing this? So, and you know as well as I do, it does happen. So really, the attempt is to make sure we communicate with as many people in the community as we possibly can in whatever venue we need to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to add one thing as well. So one thing that Dr. Schaefer didn't mention, and I respect that you don't see any value in that newsletter.
No, I find it a total waste.
Yeah,
You know why? You know
I-
why? I'm 65.
I don't want this to be a back and
Or
forth.
and my husband's
Ma'am,
70.
I don't want this to be a back and forth. This isn't supposed to be that. I'm just reacting to what your public comment was. So I just want to be on the record and say, we've polled the community. And a lot of these new board members will tell you that many people disagree with you in the community. I would argue a majority.
That's fine.
And I would say that one of the reasons we're doing this is because the polls ranked communication with the community very high in one of the requests that were made. I don't remember exactly where it was in the rankings, but it was very high. So I think that what we're doing is actually very worth the investment.
Okay. Well, it's my tax dollars, and I can have my opinion, but
Absolutely,
thank you
you
so
can.
much.
Thank you, and we appreciate it. Okay, next it looks like we have a team here, Tamsin Reese and Susan Duckworth, please.
This better be about bingo.
Oh my gosh, how did you know? Thank
Clairvoyant.
you. Well, before I get started, I'll let you know that while the students were up here talking about the basketball game, I have on confirmation that the girls' team won 63-30 at North Pocono tonight. So they're moving on. My name is Tamsin Reese. I have 4 children, 2 of whom who graduated from Abington in '23, and I have 2 other children at the high school now. I am one of the co-presidents of our Abington Heights Band Booster Club. I do not any longer have a child in the band, but I am a band booster and supporter. And this is my friend Susan.
I am Susan Duckworth, and I have a daughter who is a junior at the high school. She is one of the drum majors this year.
So the only really reason we're here is to make sure that we've been coming to these meetings pretty much all year just to be supportive and really to get educated on what happens in the school district. But we did send out a letter earlier in the week. We just wanted to make sure that you saw it. We really want to make sure that we don't get sideways with the board is really what we want to do, and make sure that you understand if you see advertisements that you know what we're doing and you know why we're doing it. We have met with Dr. Tioni several times. She's been a big supporter. Obviously, the band director is supportive of his program. But she knows what we're doing all along. We get our permissions, but we were told that in the past, maybe not here necessarily, but other school districts, when you start advertising for things like instruments, that people can get frustrated and say, well, you know, we're embarrassed, like the school district would be embarrassed, like we should be supplying those instruments. But we have a list. I'm not sure if you want to see it or not, but it's a pretty lengthy list, and it's about $55,000 worth of instruments that just haven't been replenished. They found like a 1990s document, and most of them were on that. So we're coming up on 30 years, and if you have a kid that ever played an instrument, the banging and the brushing and they're not great. So we have a list. That is specifically why we're trying to have this fundraiser with bingo. I don't know that we're going to get $55,000 worth, but we would like to do it annually as the boosters to be able to help supplement what our kids need in the band program.
And the list is just the highest priority items. It's not nearly comprehensive.
True. But I was told, I understand that, Allison Covell had seen it, that Dr. Tioni's seen it. I think she said that it was sent to everyone, including our new assistant superintendent. We do have hard copies if you want to see them. We just wanted to be transparent and introduce ourselves and answer any questions if you might have any.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you all.
Thank you
That was
very much.
easy.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
no hard? Okay. Thank you. Oh, sure.
Thank you.
I will say, as you're all walking away, because our instruments and our band are, in my view, are not unlike our maintenance equipment or our curricular resources. 3 years ago, I asked several people leading different departments to develop a predictable and reliable replacement cycle, knowing that we just can't replace everything at one time, and it just, in my mind, it's not smart to replace everything at one time. So to think about these departments and these resources where we can start to replace some of our items in a more thoughtful way, so we don't get in a position like we are now where, hey, we have $55,000 worth of equipment that we need to replace, or we have 10 trucks, plows, mowers, all at the end of the lifespan. So, how do we think about that in a thoughtful way? So that's something that I've talked to Dr. Tioni about before as we've brought this up, and we'll continue to work. And the board has thought about that and has been really deliberate in that, in how we replace things. So, for instance, last year, one of the things we looked at is that we spent approximately $120,000 at the high school on the stage and whatnot. So that's something that we'll just continue to chip away at, much like we're doing with the facilities. So, yeah. I hope a lot of people come to bingo and you get 55,000. That'd be great. That would eliminate the problem. Yeah. I'll be there. I'll have like 10 cards.
Okay. Thank you very much. The next item is the treasurer's report. Mrs. Karam, the floor is yours.
Yes. We began the month with a cash balance of $32,097,729.99. We took in $1,373,000 and $31, and 12 cents in total monthly revenues. Our net disbursements were $4,542,592.97 for a cash balance available of $28,928,168.14.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions on the roll call, please?
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Okay, Dr. Schaefer, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the February 2025 tuition reimbursement report.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion?
I have a comment. I just looked at some of the course titles, and it kind of fits with this coaching, initiative that the district is looking to do, how to motivate all learners, students' need for a successful life, making mistakes meaningful for students and teachers. I think some of these courses are very valuable for some of our teachers, and I commend them for looking at some different courses and taking different avenues to try to help to make the successful student.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the February 2025 volunteer list.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the resource environmental management quote for the packaging, transportation, and disposal of waste.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Abington Heights and Johnson College for an after-school STEM program for the middle school students.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Okay, is there any other information that the board wants to bring for us? Any unfinished business? Mr.
Just one thing, we have our IT committee meeting next Wednesday at 6:30. That was a reschedule. And we have a full agenda, but one of the items is around software that detects guns, that integrates into our already camera system. So that's the advantage of all the work we did to get to 109 cameras. Now we can use build-on products to evaluate, to see if it's worth the cost. This is pretty economical for gun detection. So since we have the hardware, we can use software as a service that detects guns through our camera system. So that's going to be the main topic. And then if we decide to go forward as a committee, we'll present it to the board.
Not to steal your thunder or, warm you up, but will that software also detect knives or things like that?
I'm not sure. I don't know, but it was vetted by the Department of Homeland Security, and that'll be one of the topics that we talk about.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, any new business? I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So
So moved.
Thank you all for coming.